Hey everyone, welcome back to Exits Media. My name's Praying for Exits. I'm a venture capitalist that invests in early stage technology companies. And today we're going to be diving into what does a venture capitalist actually do. We've talked about it a bit before here in a video we've done a little bit earlier, but we're really going to be leaning into what does a day-to-day look like on sort of like an hourly basis, and how do venture capitalists split their time up to make their day most effective. One of the benefits of having a job in venture capital is that your routine is basically up to you. So long as you get your work done, most people set their own schedules. I think that most people in the industry tend to orient themselves earlier. I'm somebody who stays up very late, so I probably go to bed at around 2:30, 3 a.m. every night, and I would wake up at around 9 to 9:30. I don't think that this is pretty typical of most VCs. They probably lean a little bit earlier, but that's what works for me. I spend my first couple of minutes upon waking up, going outside for a walk, usually 10 to 20 minutes. Where I walk to is my local coffee shop, grab some coffee, usually a quad shot of espresso over ice is my particular order, and then I walk home, make sure I get a lot of sunlight in and around my eyes, and then basically the first thing that I would look at is go look at the news. Probably spend about 10 to 20 minutes going through such sites as The Information, TechCrunch, Axios. These are publications that most venture capitalists use as their news source. Probably a little bit of Twitter as well. And then I'll probably lean into emails, usually over the night, because a lot of my team works on the East Coast or in the middle of the country. There's usually a backlog of emails to get through. So I work through those and then kind of start looking through my day. I start most of my meetings around 10:30, 11 a.m. and roll them all the way until about 6 or 7 p.m. And so basically get a good sense of what my schedule looks like, go into my calendar, see what's coming up, and just get prepared for the day. I typically get probably 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night, but I think that most VCs follow common sort of wisdom, 8 to 9 hours. But what's not very common is most founders probably get far less than that. If you're building a company, you tend to work really late and be up very early. And so I think that most founders are probably getting in that 5 to 7 hour range. As far as checking into work, on days that I am in the office, I probably check in around 9, and so my sleeping schedule and waking up schedule shifts a little bit, but for the most part, as soon as I get on my computer, which is around, call it 10:30 a.m., I'm checked into the office and basically working for the rest of the day from there. So me personally, I like being in an office. I think that there's a lot of benefits to being around your team. You get to chat about things, swap ideas, work through problems that you might have, and it's good to just have a group of people, all of your interests are aligned, because at the end of the day, you're all trying to make money together. So having a group of people with aligned interests, basically working on really difficult problems together, is super beneficial. But there's something to be said for not having to be in an office. Nobody that I work with or me myself has to be anywhere at one particular point in time. There's meetings that we have to attend. Obviously those can be done by Zoom, but I personally like the structure of being in a place with other people that are all working towards the same goal. I personally like having structured days, but as a venture capitalist, oftentimes you don't get that luxury. VCs travel quite a lot, and the reason for that is the companies that you invest in tend to be all around the world. There's certain cities where there's large groups of companies. So San Francisco, obviously, Los Angeles, New York, Miami. These are places where there are a lot of companies, but there are companies started all around the world. And to really win and be competitive on deals that you want to participate in, you kind of have to go see these people in person. And so for the most part, I'm probably on a plane at least 2 or 3 times a month. And so it's nice having a lot of structure, but you know, when you're in hotel rooms and you're bouncing on planes and off of planes, you kind of just have to take what you can get and just make the best of it. When I don't have to do that, I really do like structure. The craziest thing that I personally have done for work is probably flown from San Francisco to London for a 1-hour meeting and then hopped on a plane right back. You know, I've heard stories of people going all the way to India, which I believe is a 14, 16-hour flight, and doing the same thing. Taking a 1-hour meeting, hopping on the plane, going right back. So I think that the craziest thing typically revolves around insanely long periods of travel, call it 24 to 35 hours, just for a 1-hour meeting and then coming back home. So the most exciting part of any VC's workday is the fact that it is extremely different on a day-to-day basis. Most VCs probably look after anywhere from 20 to 50 companies across different portfolios, things that they've worked on, board seats, etc. And so basically every day you're faced with a new set of problems, challenges, and different people to work with. And that's probably the most exciting thing, is that every day you wake up and you may have some sense of what your day is going to be like, but realistically, it's just going to be completely different. And so that's probably the most fun and exciting part about it. There's one piece of advice I would give back to my younger self, and something that I've learned over time, is that like chaos is not necessarily a bad thing. And having sort of like these chaotic days that you're not even necessarily sure if you've gotten enough done because so many things have happened and you're all over the place and bouncing around. Over time, I think there's a compounding effect and it moves you directionally closer to good things. And so what I would say is probably don't sweat not having, strict routines. And if you didn't cold plunge today or you didn't go to the gym or whatever, obviously you should be trying to do those things or Just try and take care of yourself as much as possible and have set things that you really make sure happen every single day, but kind of embrace the chaos and allow yourself to really lean into the things that make you feel good, I think is probably the best advice I would give to myself. And so yeah, that's it. That's how me and other venture capitalists tend to spend our days working in the venture capital space. I hope this video was able to give you a little bit more insight into how this works, because I know there's not a lot of information out there, and hopefully gives you a little bit more of a realistic view on what it's like to actually work in venture capital on a granular level. If you found this interesting, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment on other things you'd like to see us talk about that could maybe help you, give you a little bit more information about what venture capital is like. And make sure you go and check out other videos on our channel where we try to answer some of the other big questions around venture capital and what it's like to start a company.